Hi flower friends, it's Nicole from Flower Hill Farm, and today I want to talk to you guys all about growing Lisianthus. Now Lisianthus is one of the most coveted, beautiful, absolutely stunning cut flowers, and not only are they gorgeous, they last up to a couple of weeks in the vase. So they are definitely sought after not only by flower farmers to grow, but by florists. They're very popular in weddings. And honestly, they're one of my favorite things to put in my farmers market bouquets. So I'm going to talk to you guys about starting those seeds today. They are one of the trickier plants to grow from seed. They do take a long time in the grow room. So I'm going to go over a lot of things today. A lot of this information comes from my experience. A lot of it comes from the culture sheets that you get when you buy Lisianthus. Sometimes you'll get them, I know when you buy them from Johnny's, you get the Lisianthus culture sheet. You get it with your seeds. I know that there are some other ones online that you can look at. Anyway, I am going to try to condense as much information about growing Lisianthus from seed here in this video. It's been a couple of years, I think 3 or 4 years since I made a growing Lisianthus from seed video. Now, for the past couple of years, I have opted out of growing Lisianthus from seed because of my duties at the nursery. If you're new here, I have a retail nursery where I have about 7,500 square feet of greenhouse space where I grow annuals, hanging baskets, vegetables, flowers, and everything for my community. So having all of those duties on top of the flower farm, I was trying to take a little bit off my plate, but I missed it. I missed watching the Lisianthus grow from seeds. I have one tray that I started last week right here in front of me, and then I'm gonna be starting many more today. We are in my garage. It's not fancy. My daughter is in college and she drew this when she was 3. So I don't take things off the walls. This is my husband's garage and we're Bills fans. So playoff game is tomorrow. Cross your fingers. We'll be sitting right here and watching the game on this TV in the garage. But so don't mind my mess here. But this is where I work a lot of the times, and this is my space. The pellet stove is right behind me, and that's how we keep this up to temperature when we're out here. Okay, so like I said earlier, Lisies can be an intimidating crop to start from seed. Some people have great success doing this, and others really struggle. So if you're one of those people who are struggling growing from seed, I encourage you not to give up and to try again and again, because you will eventually find the right, atmosphere in your grow space or the right methods to be successful with growing this. Okay, so Lisies, much like snapdragons, they have different groups. They're divided into groups, and those groups equal their bloom time. So obviously group 1 is going to be an early bloomer, and then group 4 is going to be the latest bloomer. What I like to do when I'm growing is, in order to extend my bloom time, I grow multiple different groups, and I start them all at the same time. You can do it that way, and you can also succession plant. So I'm starting some seeds today, and maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now, start another set of seeds so that I have a longer harvest time when it comes to these flowers in bloom, which I don't usually see Lisianthus blooming in my climate until maybe the first one's end of July, and then August and September is when Lizzie harvest season is for me in upstate New York, zone 4. Just for some background, my last frost date is typically mid to end of May. And then I get a first frost sometime in September, as early as September 6th, but sometimes it's not till October. It's very, very different on the end of my season. So sometimes I'll have a great long harvest, and then sometimes it'll get cut short with a random frost in early September. But typically around October 1st, we've seen a frost by then. Okay, so I have a short growing window, but Lisianthus, they're cool flowers. They actually don't mind the cold. Okay, back to variety types. Like I said, groups 1 through 4, 1 being the early blooms and 4 being the later blooms. I have a combination. So I'll go over the varieties. Let me check my notes because I have notes. So I am growing Roseanne Black Pearl. I know you probably thought I was going to say Roseanne Brown. That's coming up. So the Roseanne series is an early bloomer. So they're considered, I think, group 1, group 2. So I have Roseanne Black Pearl, and then I have Roseanne Brown. And I ordered 250 each of those seeds. I'll be starting half of them now, and then in a couple weeks, I'll start the other half. And then I've got Voyage 2 Lavender and Voyage 2 Apricot. Those are also early bloomers, and I love both of those. I've grown apricot. Apricot's one of my favorite Lisianthus. Roseanne Brown is my favorite Lisianthus. And then I've got some late ones. We've got Arena 3 Red. I've never really grown like the red varieties before, so I'm excited to try this out. And then I've got the Lisadora apricot. That is a mid to late. I have 250 seeds of all of these. And then I've got some Corellis. We've got Corelli Segoy White. I love white. And Corelli it's ruffly, it's beautiful. I love it. It's one of those like dreamy wedding varieties that you see all the time. And then I've got Corelli Pink, which is fantastic. I grew that, I think 2 years ago, I grew the Corelli Pink, but that was from plug. So I'm growing it from seed this time. And then I have what was new to me last year, Puccino Choco. And this is also a late variety, group 3-4. So I have half of my Lisianthus are early, half of them are late, and then I'll do successions of all of them. So I should have a longer harvest window. And now a word from today's sponsor, and that is HelloFresh. I'm craving mashed potatoes, so I'm gonna go ahead with this option. It's called the Onion Crunch Chicken. I'm gonna save these white cheddar crunch burgers for tomorrow. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. They've delivered over 1 billion meals. Recipes take 30 minutes or less. That's faster than waiting for delivery. You can pause, skip meals, or swap meals. There's no commitment and no pressure. Honestly, for me, it takes the hassle out of trying to think of what to cook for dinner. And if you guys want to check out HelloFresh for yourself, right now you get a free Zwilling 4-star chef's knife with your third box. That's a value of $144.99 plus 10 free meals, and your first box ships free using the code FlowerHillFMZWL. Make sure you use the code to get this deal before supplies run out. Offer is valid while supplies last. The link will automatically opt you into HelloFresh's best active offer if you're redeeming this after the activation window closes. Again, that's code FlowerHillFMZWL to get that free knife. Thanks for watching and enjoy. Now, Lisianthus is a cool flower, and that means in some regions, depending on your weather, they can be fall planted in some zones. So you could plant them in like October and then overwinter them, and they will perk back to life in the springtime for you. I am in zone 4B, so I need to plant them in early spring, and they are cold hardy, as in they can take temperatures that are down in the low 20s. So I plant them out approximately 1 month, 4 to 5 weeks before my last frost date. And for me, that ends up being about mid-April. Now, Lisianthus takes 12 to 13 weeks before it's ready to be planted out into the field. And so if I Googled 13 weeks from today, that would be April 17th. And that is why I'm starting my Lisianthus seeds in the middle of January. I plant mine out in the field without protection, and I am confident when I do that. I don't think I've ever lost a Lizzie to too cold temperatures. So I feel confident putting them out like that. I don't plant them in the hoop house. However, a lot of growers do. There are benefits to growing them in the hoop house. Sometimes they tend to get a little taller because they're reaching for the sun and because they have that poly color cover over them, and oftentimes there's a shade cloth on that hoop house. They will reach for the sun, and therefore their stems will elongate. They won't do that in the field because the sun is blasting on them beautiful, so they don't need to reach for that sun. Anyway, so that's one of the benefits of growing them in the hoop house. They tend to be a little bit taller. Also, overhead watering / rain. Those can be issues for darker colored Lisianthus because it can leave spots on the petals and it will look damaged because of that. That has happened to me in the past. I tend to try to not grow the darker colors because that is much more significant on the darker colors of Lisianthus. So I'd be more concerned about the Roseanne Black Pearl that I'm growing. However, the Black Pearl and Roseanne Brown kind of have that mottled look anyway, mottled as in like MOTTLED. So I'm not really worried about the rain getting on those because they already look antique, which is what the raindrops or overhead watering even. So it is recommended that you have drip irrigation to water Lisianthus because of the spots that might be left on those petals. like I said before, Lizzies need a lot of time in the grow room. And a lot of time in the grow room often means there can be a lot more problems. You can have a lot more issues because they're in it, as opposed to something like a zinnia that's in your grow room for 3 weeks and then it's in the ground. So with Lisianthus, you have some things that can occur would be algae. And once you plant them, the seeds come pelleted. Because they are so small, they are pelleted. And what I mean by that is they have a coating around the seed. Now, because they have a coating around the seed, you need to make sure that that pellet continues to have moisture. So as soon as I'm done planting my Lisianthus, I've got right here, let me just gently take off my covering, make sure there's no seedlings that are coming up with it. Okay. So this right here is my tray of Lisianthus that I started last week. It's Puccino Choco, the glorious one. And this is Swift Blocker blocks. Now I've had this Swift Blocker for several years. I don't tend to use it often because it's a little bit messier than soil blocks, and I'm just so used to using soil blocks that this takes longer because I don't have as much experience with it. I'm trying to get more experience with it. It also requires larger trays. Most of my trays are smaller, so my soil block fits better. This is a 72 hole Swift Blocker. There are 2 of them here. I do like it. I do think that it has a little bit more soil than the 20 hole soil blocker that I use that are the 3/4 inch blocks. I do think that the more soil there is, the better it is for the plants. And I don't have to bump them up as quickly as I would. Have 3 different options that I keep mine moist with. I know everyone hates that word. You can use all of these fancy things. This is a mister, and I prefer something like this. This is actually plastic. I had to buy this. I got it at Dollar General for a literal $1. Price tag is still on it. I had gorgeous cobalt blue glass ones, and guess what happened? Slipped off the shelf onto the concrete floor, shattered cobalt glass all over my basement floor. I said I can't risk that again. So this is just a plastic spritzer. I also have this glass one that I got because it's pretty. I'm terrified of dropping this. So this is like a perfume bottle, like a little, it's the cutest thing, and I just thought it was pretty, so I got it for Instagram pictures, really. Keep it on the shelf. Anyway, keep it moist because these pellets have to melt in order for the Lisianthus seed to sprout. And I have dozens of sprouts on here. You wouldn't be able to tell because they're so tiny. I will get a close-up shot. But this Lisianthus that I started a week ago, oh my gosh, it was literally a week ago, and I already have almost all of this germination, which is a little bit early. 10 to 15 days is pretty common for germination on Lisianthus. But because they have to maintain moisture when they're germinating, and I do put them on a heat mat. I set my heat mat, I think, to 75 degrees, and this has been on the heat mat for over a week now. Because you have to keep it moist to dissolve the pellet, there is a higher likelihood for an algae situation to occur. Now, you do need to allow the pellets, you don't want to cover the pellets up too much, but a light layer of vermiculite would be okay. And that would help either prevent or control any algae growth that you might see in your grow room or in your grow space or on your shelf or on top of your refrigerator or wherever you're growing your seedlings. So I don't have vermiculite here at my house. It's at the shop. We are going to the shop tonight. So I will probably grab some and bring it home because I do have so many seeds that I'm going to be starting here. Basement. One of the other concerns or issues you want to keep a lookout for is called rosetting on Lisianthus. Now, rosetting is when the plant gets stressed out, the seedling gets stressed out. It can get stressed out by many different things. It could get stressed out by temperatures being too high, it getting too much moisture, or it will dry out. Anything that's stressing out the plant could lead to rosetting with Lisianthus. And you'll notice that the plant is rosetting when it starts to kind of multiply the petals in the middle. That's rosetting. It starts to look like a rose in the center of it. And if the plant is rosetting, the chance that it's actually going to flower drops dramatically. And rosetting is something that is not impossible to reverse, but it's not easy. Now, Johnny's recommends reversing rosetting by dropping the temperature in your grow room or moving your seedlings to a space that's only 50 degrees and keep them there for a month. And that is something that might reverse rosetting so that you'll actually get a bloom on your Lisianthus. And I'm not sure if I would risk that. If I had a whole tray of Lisianthus that was starting to rosette, I would not probably plant that out in my field because I don't want to take up that much space in my row for a plant or a seedling that may or may not flower. That's risky to me. However, maybe there are signs that it's coming out of rosetting that I don't know to look out for so that you can know, okay, yep, it's coming out of rosetting and it's growing normally now and it's going to bloom. I am not sure. I am not an expert on everything. I just research and pass on knowledge. Okay, algae growth, rosetting, fungal issues. They do recommend using some sort of antifungal like a root shield or anything else that you can get your hands on that is an antifungal treatment for your seedlings. You can treat the soil. You can treat the seedling. You can treat the seedling actually like as the plug before you plant. You can dip it in a root shield solution and that will also help once the plant is in the ground. It's highly recommended because there is just so many fungal issues that these seedlings can have. In fact, one of the things I want to make sure I'm on top of this year at the nursery is to make sure that every single plant that comes in that I'm going to be growing, whether it be a 4-inch annual, a hanging basket, a perennial, whatever the plug may be, I'm going to have a big bucket where every single thing is going to be dipped before I plant it because and I get concerned about rosetting because once my grow room downstairs gets filled with trays, say end of March, early April, I've got 100 trays down there, thousands of seedlings. The temperature just naturally starts to go up in that room. All the lights are on. I've got all of these beautiful seedlings and the heat is just pumping out from them. My grow room can get up to, I think it was 88 degrees a couple years ago with like 99% humidity. So I had 2 dehumidifiers in the space trying to control the humidity because that is just a breeding ground for problems. So you try to keep the air flowing. You want to have fans on, try to keep the temperatures between 65 and 75 and try to keep the humidity down below, I would say below, it's like 65 or less would probably be an ideal condition for these guys. Okay, what else? You want to make sure that you're bumping them up. So my Lisianthus is not going to stay in this Swift blocker little block. It is going to be bumped up probably to 72 plug trays and you know that size. Or sometimes I even bump them up into 50 cell plug trays. I have a lot of those, so I just use what I have. And I did notice that one year I did the same, started from seed the same day. And then once they got to be a certain size, which is like, you know, a couple sets of true leaves, I'll start to bump it up. I noticed that the same seedlings, when put into either a 128 tray, a 72 tray, or a 50 tray, the bigger the container was, the bigger the plant got during the same time. So the 50 cell tray was like twice the size of what I bumped into the 128 trays, and the 72 tray was somewhere in between. But I do agree, and I believe that the bigger the vessel that you give it, the bigger and faster it will grow. That is just my observation. It does say here in the culture sheet, keep temperatures between 70 and 80 degrees during the day and then 60 to 65 at night. It's very hard for me to change the temperature of the grow room from day to night. I think maybe the lights turning off might drop it a few degrees, but I've actually never really tested that out. That's something I'll do this year. I've got a lot of Govies, which are those, Bluetooth temperature gauges. I've got one in the basement right now because I've got dahlia tubers storing down there, and it's a solid 53 degrees right now. 53 to 55 degrees is what my basement is right now. It's going to creep up as more plants get in there. This culture guide also recommends crop rotation and then harvesting. A lot of people are confused when it comes to harvesting. I was actually with my friend Rachel last year. She was growing Lisianthus for the first time, and that was her first question is, when do I cut this flower? And so I had to tell her not when the first one opens, because that one's lower on the stem and it's going to open, but there's going to be a cluster, if you're lucky, not just one, there's going to be a cluster up at the top. So that first bloom that opens up, I call that the throwaway bloom. We're not going to use that. It's going to be pretty. You're going to enjoy it. You can see, oh, wow, this is going to be gorgeous. But that's the pre-show. That's the opener. The main event is happening up top, and you will be rewarded by waiting for after that one bloom on the side, that first bloom, you can cut that off and then wait for the show to start up top. That is where you're going to get the cluster on top, and you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 blooms open. And that's when I recommend cutting it. You don't want to wait for all of them to open, because then the first few are not going to have long of a vase life at all. But if you wait until 2 or 3 of the main buds on top to open, and then you've got a couple of them that are still closed, that creates such a beautiful texture and look. I love the look of a closed Lisianthus. I just love it, okay? Lisianthus, store it in your cooler, 36 to 41 degrees, and it will remain a beautiful flower for weeks. I have had Lisianthus look fantastic in a vase for 3 weeks. Are they all gonna last 3 weeks? No, they're not, but they're gonna give you 10 to 14 days of gorgeousness in a vase. One of my favorite farmers market bouquets is like Status and Gomphrena and Lisianthus and maybe a couple sunflowers, and you put all those together and it's just really beautiful. And the last man standing is going to be, well, your Gomphrena and your Status are going to be there a while, but your Lisianthus is going to be there right along with them, because they are such a great flower. They're just eye-catching. Like, you walk by and you see the Lisies, you're like, whoop. Yeah, that's what we do. And floral preservative can even extend that vase life even longer. So make sure you invest in some good floral preservative. I've got a list of all the supplies that I use in the description of this video in case you guys are looking for any of the bouquet making supplies, seed starting supplies, any of that stuff. It's in the description of this video. Okay guys, so right now we will start some Lisianthus seeds. I am gonna make some swift blockers along with you guys. I only have a few of these trays, so I gotta go to town, like I said, and get more of these trays. They're at the shop. Having 2 locations is not easy. I would tell you that, because I don't know where my soil blocker is. I have 2 of them. I couldn't tell you where they are. I thought it was on that shelf over there, because I've got a shelf of all my cut flower stuff in this is my husband's garage. Obviously it's our garage, but it's his space. I have my own spaces, got the basement, and I do have a shelf in here with all of my supplies, and I swore the soil blocker was there a few weeks ago, and then when I went to go use it the other day, it was MIA. So I am swift blocking. I would do a combination because I have smaller trays that this swift blocker doesn't fit on. So I have to use my large trays, but gosh, look at them. They're so pretty, and they're not brownies. You might think they're brownies. A lot of people usually, every time they see a picture, are like, I thought they were brownies. Yeah, you're not alone. Okay, so there are 72 times 2, so there's 144 of the Puccino Choco here. So I'm gonna go get the trays, and we'll do 144 of another variety. Let's do Roseanne Brown. I am making such a mess in this garage because I just went on a deep dive looking for the soil blocker again, and I can't find it. Okay, so I have a tray. These are cafeteria trays. These are old pieces of tape, which I can't stand. This one came out nicely. Apparently on February 26th, this was probably 2 years ago, I started Scabiosa. And then you can see how many times I've used these trays. These are all, this is Amy, this is Blue Status, that's Millet, this is double cranberry. That was a Cosmos, I can tell because of the name. Anyway, these trays were given to me by a friend of mine who works at a local hospital, and they were throwing them out. So they are amazing. And the size of them, let me tell you, because this is the Swift Blocker. This is the 72, and I got one of the original ones. I've had this for a few years. They might have changed design slightly since I've purchased mine. Not affiliated with the company, so I'm just using it. Oh, tape measure. Okay, so my trays that I have are about 17 and a half by 13 and a half. So like 18 by 14 trays. The soil blocker itself is about just over, it's 14 and a quarter, so I'd say 14 and a half inches. So at minimum, your tray should be 15, but I would go a little bit, like I said, mine is probably sold as an 18 by 14 inch tray. I'll put the link in because I actually just ordered more from Amazon, because if I can't find my soil blocker, I'm gonna buy more trays and use the Swift blocker. It will help me out when it comes to bumping up. It'll be a delay in bumping.
We've got a delay in the bump.
Okay, so 18 by 14 inch trays for this 72 hole. There are 72 holes in this Swift blocker, and I'll show you how it fits on this tray. And it can fit twice. So I can do 2 times 72, 144 on each tray. With the soil blocker, I can fit 240 seedlings on a tray. So it depends on your space, and if you need more space, you can choose what you choose. You can choose your choice. Choose what you use. Okay, I am making a big mess, so I'm gonna go put this Puccino Choco Lisianthus downstairs again, back on the heat mat because it's not fully germinated. I am gonna get a little spritz though. Spritzy spritz, because I had it uncovered for a while, showing you guys. Oh, one of my soil blocks tipped over. There you go, baby. It's fine. It's fine. So, back downstairs you go. Oh, these seedlings are so cute. They're little babies. I've decided to change the name of my soil blocker. My soil blocker has been known as Cookie Monster for quite some time because my husband and I put a rubber grip on the handle to make it softer on my palm. I've decided to change its name to Susan because I'm desperately seeking Susan. And so it's Soil Blocker Susan from now on. And one of my best friends is named Susan, and she will get a kick out of that, even though she will never watch this video. Stay tuned. Okay, I think I have everything I need, which includes gloves, because I will say that soil blocking is cleaner than Swift blocking. Soil blocking is, basically I have a new method for soil blocking. Not a new method, but a new tool. I use cat litter boxes. just a great. I'm not soil blocking with cat litter, but I have, behind door number 1, I have Vermont compost in there. And I have found that soil blocking, by taking the soil blocker and scraping it off the side, which I would show you if I could find Susan, dipping it in and scraping it up the side is perfect. It works every time. And I have a smaller footprint for my big bin of soil that I used to use. It's a smaller footprint, and you put it in and you scrape it up the side. It's perfectly in there. I love it. You push it out, it's a soil block. The Swift blocker requires you to use your hands to grab the soil to put them in the block. It's a little bit messier, but in the end, it is a great tool and a great method for growing seedlings. So I'm gonna move my computer out of the way because I don't want Vermont compost on my computer, my laptop, and we will get going on this Swift blocker. It is precious to me, I must move it. Okay, I'm gonna change the camera angle so you guys can see what I'm doing, which I just need to push it down, push it good. Oh God, I'm gonna pinch my fingers. Okay, all right.
Hi.
Okay, I don't need this other glove. These are some seeds. I'm gonna move those out of the way. Okay, we have the Swift blocker. We don't need this. I'm gonna start with the one closest to the camera because of, oh, it doesn't matter because I'll just flip the tray. Okay, I don't need this top part. I probably should rinse this a little bit. I used it the other day and I did not clean it. I'm not gonna clean it. Okay, this is real life, not fantasy. One of the complaints that I hear often about Vermont compost is that it needs to be sifted, and it does. Sifted, higher than the ceiling. Okay, so little sticks like this, I've been keeping a little bowl and pouring them in because that will prevent your Swift blocker from pushing down into itself and creating these blocks. I just happen to have this soil here that I had from, and it's not wet enough. I don't even know if I'm going to use it. This, I was planting ranunculus the other day. Okay, so I have all of this soil in the Swift blocker. I'm going to put it where I want it on the tray, which is about an inch away from the edge because I want to be able to water from the bottom. Okay, and then this will leave me enough room to have another set right there, about an inch away from the edge, and then you take the top and push down, do this first, and then you lift up on the sides. I've only done this a few times, guys. And I had to have Brad do it for me the other day because my chest muscles, remember I had breast cancer and I had surgery in July. So my chest muscles are not up to par yet. Okay, I got it. Okay, I hope it works. Oh, please, babies. Jiggle, 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 jiggle. Oh my God. Yay. Okay. They're all there. I'll show you closer. They look great. Oh, they just tipped over, but that's okay because I was tipping the tray. That was my fault. But they are significantly bigger than the 3/4 inch soil blocks. You can see they are a good size. So I'm gonna make another set right here and then I'll plant. I brought out my dough scraper thinking that I could use that, but I can't. So Swift Blocker offers a tool to help with this, and it's similar to this. Like this is I made bagels last night and I cut the dough with this. It's not even washed yet. You could see the remnants of the bagel dough. They sell something that goes like this so that you could scrape it. I don't have one. This is probably the 5th time I've ever used this because I was just so fast with the soil blocker that I just never picked this up. I was curious about it, so I bought one. And it was just a little bit more time consuming for me. But I do have friends that use this who absolutely love it. And I grew feverfew in this a couple years ago. And I did soil blocks as well. And the feverfew that I started in the Swift Blocker grew substantially bigger in the same amount of time in the Swift Blocker. So I do think that there is amazing benefit to having the larger blocks. And I do think that once I get more experience with making these, it'll go faster. Okay, I think that's about good. Oop, there's a little piece of wood. If there's any sticks or anything like crossing over the line, the top part won't push down. So you have to make sure that there's really no debris and you can see the grate. Seeing is believing, and I believe it's going to be okay. So let me grab the bottom. I mean the top. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's something blocking it over here. There's still something there. Aha! Okay. Good. Yay! Okay, I can finally start some seeds. Okay, I've got my little glass, and yes, I still use a toothpick. I am heavily considering buying a seed, like a vacuum seeder or a drop seeder. If you have experience with either one of those and have a preference, let me know. Oh, my daughter's right here in the window. You can come in. My daughter's been home from college. She's leaving in 2 days. Hi, Love Dove. Hi. You just hanging out? Okay, she's just hanging out. Do you want to say hi? No, she doesn't want to. Sorry. Okay, Veda, will you hand me that box right there? Darling, I need an assistant all the time. Okay, so I said I was going to start Roseanne Brown. It just happens to be the first one. And this is the flower that made me fall absolutely in love with Lisianthus. Roseanne Brown. Don't get it crooked. It's the best. Some people don't like it because they say it looks dead. I don't care. It looks beautiful. Okay, so like I said, considering a vacuum seeder or a drop seeder. Right now I don't have either one of those, and I don't have really much else going on right now, so I don't mind doing this. I've also done a channel start with Lisianthus where I just dump all the seeds at once and then bump them up after they're a little bit bigger. But I do find that as much as I like that method and it works, for me, this is when I have extra time. So I'm going to plant them out individually. In March, when I'm starting my peppers and tomatoes for the greenhouses, that's when I'll just dump them because I just want them started. Right now I have the time to do this individually. And then in March, I have helpers with me at the greenhouses who can then pot them up into 6-packs. So it's a totally different story. Right now I have the extra time, so I'm going to plant these individually with a toothpick in a little glass jar. This is the way that I've done it for years, and it's probably the way I will continue to do it as long as my time in January is a little bit extra. Veda, I was telling my flower friends about your artwork on the wall behind me that you painted when you were 3.
Hey.
You're so good. She's an amazing artist. I'm not even kidding you. Okay. Roseanne Brown has a yellow pellet. Some are white. Oh, 2 in 1. I don't want to do that. It doesn't happen often, but it just did. Now, once the toothpick is wet, because the soil is very wet on these Swift blockers, then I'll just have to touch the side of one of these pellets and it just grabs right on to the toothpick. It's nice that they're pelleted because oftentimes seeds are the same color as the soil, and you put a seed in there and you're like, okay, is the seed actually in there? And with having the contrast between the yellow and the soil, it's very easy to see where you've already placed a seed. I'm looking at you, snapdragons. Okay, I've got 2 rows done. My daughter Veda just completed her first semester at college, and a couple of days ago was named on the president's list for having an excellent GPA. I'm so proud. I'm so proud. Sometimes you will be surprised because these seeds are so small and difficult to work with that sometimes inside the pellet there will be 3 or 4 seeds. So all of a sudden you will have multiple seedlings inside your little soil block, and you will have bonuses. We call them bonuses. Bonus babies. Wait, I guess what I named my soil blocker? Susan. Oh, you know what? Okay, my friend Susan's not going to see this, but I'm going to tell her about it. Another good reason for me to name my soil blocker Susan is because my friend Susan is constantly losing things. She literally, every time she's here, this right here is hers. She left it here the other day on New Year's Eve. We were playing this game called Piles. She left it here. So it's an app name because it's missing. Susan misses she leaves things everywhere. I remember one time we were 4-wheeling behind my house and there was a little bit of snow, like 8 inches or whatever, and we might have been snowmobiling. Anyway, phone fell out of her pocket. It's still missing to this day, and that was like 6 years ago. There's a phone in my backyard somewhere. We've never found it since. She just loses things all the time. So yes, my soil blocker is now Susan. I am desperately seeking Susan. I can't wait. There's a crock pot in my house too that's hers. She just leaves things everywhere. It's a mini crock pot. She made like a dip for New Year's. It's taking up valuable counter space though on my counter, and I did a deep clean of my kitchen yesterday, and I am not loving it sitting there, so I actually might drop it off to her tonight. I think actually I will. I've got to go that way anyway. She lives on the other side of the shop, and Brad and I are going to go, my husband Brad and I are going to go, we have some stuff to put in the dumpster in town, because we've got a dumpster at the nursery, which you might notice I'm not wearing my wedding ring, and that's just because I can't find it. I had to take off my jewelry, and I wear a silicone. I know where my real wedding band is. That's ridiculous. I would never lose that. But I wear the silicone rings so that nothing happens, and because I'm farming, I don't want gear to get caught on my ring. So for surgery, I had to take all of my jewelry off, which included the silicone ring, and I, since my surgery, haven't been able to find the ring. So we're not divorced. All is well. But I really do need to put something on so people don't start talking, because I am on video all the time and I'm not wearing my ring. Brad and I are actually going to be celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary in June, which is insane, because I'm only 32. Don't look at me like that. I only speak the truth, Veda. I cannot tell a lie. La, da, 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 da. I'm gonna be doing, I think I'll do a separate like health update video, because I don't want people who are just looking for information on growing Lisianthus. I don't want to bore them with a health update before I talk about my seeds, so some of you are probably like, Nicole, you've had 3 surgeries and this is the first time we're seeing you, and etc., etc. But I will do a separate health update video within the next week. I've got some updates to tell you guys about too in the world of like my podcast, and I'm going to be traveling quite a bit. I'm going to be speaking at a few events, so I will fill you guys in on all of that in like a life update video. Hopefully this month, for sure this month, because I'm starting to travel next month, and I want to give you guys opportunity, if you guys plan on attending some of the shows that I'm going to be speaking at, opportunity to make your plans if you're also going to go there. Don't go there. Ta-da! Okay, I actually kept track. This took about 10 minutes. I was talking, could have been faster. But yeah, 10 minutes for 144. And I know if I planted them, if I just dumped them in a channel and potted them up from there, it would have taken me longer than 10 minutes to pick all these out and put them in a tray. So I feel good about that. 10 minutes a tray, so I can get 6. No, I couldn't, because obviously I have to make the tray. So let's say I could do 3 trays in an hour. So that's 600 Lisianthus in an hour. And I've got 9 packets to do, or 8, because I already did the Puccino Choco ones. So it's going to take me like 3 hours to plant my Lisianthus one at a time. And I feel good about that. So next step, spritz. So I always make sure, well, obviously I need to label the tray. And I also have something to tell you guys about that. My husband, for Christmas, for a stocking stuffer, bought me a little label maker so that I don't have to continuously use tape to print out my labels. However, I didn't download the app yet. He has it on his phone, so it's an app. And I'll put a link in the description below, because it's pretty cool. I have some in my my ranunculus trays downstairs. So I already started my ranunculus, and I'll make a video with that about that soon for you guys, probably next week. So he bought this little thing and it has an app, and you tell the app what to print out, and it prints out, and it's like a water resistant label to put on your trays. Because I'm very picky about legibility. I don't like when my tape is scribbly. I like it to be all caps. I like it to look nice. That way, this little printy thing does it all for me. And I will put a link in the description below. I don't know where he put it. I think it's right on this table somewhere. That's not it. Oh my gosh. I'm a total Swiftie. Swift blocker. I can't find it. He must have put it somewhere. But I am going to have him print it out. Roseanne Brown Lisianthus. I'll put a little RB on the side here and we'll print out a nice label. I will take you downstairs. If you don't have that, you can use tape. And clearly it stays on for years if you use, excuse me, this garden marker. This garden marker is water resistant. It works on metal, plastic, anything. I don't know if it works on glass. I did not try that, but I have a candle right here. Not really. It doesn't work on glass, but it works on plastic, it works on tape, it works on metal, and it might work on like this kind of plastic. I'm gonna call this Mr. It definitely works on plastic because I've written on those little white, these right here, the little white plastic tags. Yeah, it works on plastic. What am I kidding? It just doesn't work on glass. So yes, that's Mr. I'm going to cover this with saran wrap because I don't have any other viable solution with a tray. It doesn't have a humidity dome like a 1020 tray would have. So make sure that it's nice and moist so that those pellets start to dissolve, because the light is required for germination on the Lisianthus, or I guess it's not required, but it is recommended. Okay, well, I am not going to do the other trays on camera because this video is ridiculously long already. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing for all the other Lisianthus seeds that I have, boom, 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 and it's going to take me the next few hours, but I want to get this video out to you guys today, so I'm going to stop right here, edit this video, and then come back and finish the rest of my seeding. Like I said, it's going to take me a few more hours to get it all done. I am so excited to be starting seeds in 2026. This is going to be a fantastic season. I will it to be. It cannot be anything like last year. Last year was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. But we won't go into that in this video. This is all about Lisianthus, and we are going to be so excited to follow the journey of these seedlings. I will show them to you. I'll try to give you guys weekly updates, and then hopefully we'll be harvesting these that I just planted right here sometime later this summer. Okay, I will see you very soon. I promise. I know I've been absent, but like I said, I've had 2 surgeries since November, and it's been a lot of recovery, a lot of couch time, a lot of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I started watching it from the beginning. Thank you, Mormon Wives. It was a rabbit hole from Mormon Wives to Vanderpump Rules to Beverly Hills. It's a lot. So, no, Vanderpump Villa, not Vanderpump Rules. But then it led to Vanderpump Rules. Anyway, I've had a lot of reality TV over the past 2 months. I'd like to get back to reality. So it's good to see you. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you soon.